The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Saban Entertainment, and Subaraya Productions.
Yay! We're finally here.
Dekaranger month.
The entire month
Of
Dekaranger.
well,
all of the
half of
Dekaranger.
October and half of November.
Yes.
Or however long it takes.
It'll just end up being like the Heisei movie next year. Because we actually finally have a date that the Heisei era is going to end now.
Oh God, when?
The day after my birthday, 2019.
Oh, okay.
So...
Do we know what the name of the next era is?
No, we won't know until
Still
next
don't-
March.
Okay.
Jesus.
However, I will also mention this. They named the movie Heisei Generation's Final, and you're fucked because you have a whole another year almost with the show. With that era being a thing. So...
Why would they do that?
They can make Heisei Generations Final 2.
They thought it was going to end next year. And then they
Mm.
pushed it back in time for the 2020 Olympics. But either way, we're here with Dekaranger. So excited. I'm going to go ahead and, do this now. Here's our schedule for the entirety of the next month. We're going to go ahead and do the review this week in comparison next week. The week after that, we're going to go ahead and do the
Movies?
the Dekaranger movie, the Team Up with Ranger, and 10 years after. And then the week after that, we're going to go ahead and do Girls in Trouble and the Space Sheriff, Gavan versus Dekaranger movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our schedule for the next month. Here it is. I'm just going to post it here,
Above my head.
above his head, so you can see it. And we're going to put it in the comments down below. But yeah, Dekaranger month, we're going to start off with this one, right? Because we're going to start with the motherfucking opening, which is fucking hype.
It's one of the best.
It is definitely one of the best.
Good.
It's one of the best.
If I recall, when we were watching it in college, you got annoyed by us singing it constantly.
I got annoyed because you only sang one part constantly.
The countdown.
The countdown.
Yeah, you
Which
just
is in
sang
English.
that over and over again. It's like a little kid singing "You're welcome," but he only knows "What can I say except you're welcome?" So that's all he sings. It's like that.
It's mostly in English. But this song is so hype.
It is.
It is.
It's so... I remember when the 10 Years After special came out and Overtime subbed it, they had like the live version on their website, and I listened to the entire thing all the way through. And I listened to basically the entire thing almost every single time I watched one of these episodes outside of like a few times, which I skipped it when I was really marathoning it.
Mhm.
But I fucking love this opening. It's so hype. I love when they use it during battle. This is like one of those openings that really works as like an actual battle song.
Well, they do that a lot with a lot of these shows. They'll use the opening as a battle theme, where they'll have like a specific battle theme that they'll just loop back to over and over again.
But this one worked better.
But yeah, you're right. This one really does work as a battle theme.
It works so good. And then the ending, which is super jazzy.
The ending is probably my favorite ending ever.
It's cool.
I like it more than the opening.
They're both just so good.
Dekaranger.
I love when Blue turns around. It's like the sassiest thing ever. Because it's just like...
He's doing a Blue Steel thing.
I know. It's just like... You can't turn around with that much sass in
It's the
suit. It's
same
just
look.
so funny. But they're both just so good. But let's go ahead and get into the very beginning of this show with the Fireball Newcomer. Because we start off on another planet where a police car is chasing another car. And in that car, we end up seeing a red Dekaranger. Bon Akaza.
Which we had a big problem with at the beginning of the show as a character.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that more
In the character
In the
section.
in the character section of this
As we
review.
usually do.
Yeah.
As we usually do. But because we've already have a rant video out on this, so I figured let's just get that out of the way real quick.
It's very, very
Be
good.
irritating. Moving on.
Getting into, because this time we get to be on Earth, we see what they call an alienizer attacking a bus.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole bunch of other
Better name
Dekarangers
than
out
Tube.
there. Yes. We end up getting to see the blue, yellow, and green Dekarangers here. And on this bus is the pink Dekaranger, Umeko, who starts singing a song which Super Sentai fans might actually end up finding familiar, because the song that she sings is the same song from 5 Men that 5 Yellow taught her class.
Oh.
Which sort of makes it a thing that people think that she was a part of that class, which will sort of make sense based on the timeline that we have here. But yeah, and then we end up getting to see their mechs.
It's an interesting Easter
Well,
egg.
before we get into Mechs, we see them in their suits, right? Or have they been in civilian mode this whole time? I can't remember.
It's sort of, because they do a couple
Well, the
things
first time
in
we
this
see
episode.
Red, he's in suit.
Yeah, and he's in his mech too.
Okay.
But
So-
we're talking about the individual mechs and the suits. So let's go ahead and do the suits first.
Love them.
Love these suits.
Love
I
these
don't.
suits.
Love the
You don't
1,
like
2,
the
3,
gi-
4, 5.
You don't like the giant numbers.
I don't like the giant numbers, but I love the helmets.
Alright, I can give them that. The helmets are very
This,
cool.
I'm sorry, I've said this before. The suits look like 5 gum. That's all I think of
It's a
when I
good
see
thing
them.
because there are 5 of them. At least at the beginning.
There's like 10 of them, so moving on.
Yeah, because this, we'll talk about that.
They're not awful. They're just not my favorite.
I love these.
But I love the helmets. The helmets are one of my favorites.
I love the helmets. I love how... I like the numbers because it gives them each individuality, but at the same time uniform. Yeah. If that makes sense.
And it sort of ends up giving the ranking in.
Yeah, that's another thing. Because it's a cop show, you know there are ranks, and this kind of helps know right off the bat who's in charge. Yes, I know Red's always in charge, but in this case, that is really driven home in this show.
Yes, because a lot of... Okay, we'll go ahead and say this now. This show, as you said, is a cop show. It goes much more on a case-by-case basis than having a full, overarching story, although there's sort of a main villain, but at the same time, there is...
It's a combination of an episodic plot, but it's got a lot of I don't know the
commonality.
Commonality.
It is an episodic plot, but there are serialized elements.
Yes. And that really
Which it does work.
I think it works best in this show. Because, with a lot of shows, you end up getting burnt out, at least for Super Sentai, and in some cases, Rider as well. You get burnt out within the 30s, even if they get, like, the main final form or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it's just, like, because of the fact that everything is sort of separated from each other, but at the same time, not really, you don't end up having to, like, watch every single thing to really get up to this point. And I think that really helps it.
We still prefer serialized plots over episodic. Yeah. Let's not get...
It depends on the show, though.
Yeah, it really does.
It does. Like, this is one of the few shows where the episodic plot really works.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of realistic when you think about it. Cops aren't spending, an entire year going after this one crime boss.
If you watch something like Law and Order, it is a case-by-case show.
We will talk about that a little bit more, actually, in comparison.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like the way that you just mentioned that, just like, that's going to be a major plot point for that. But...
Time for Mechs?
Yeah, but that first episode is great. It introduces the characters really well, with Boss, or as Swan calls him, Doogie. But it's just...
Doogie Howser.
Yes. It's a really, really good first episode. It just works so well with setting up the show the way that it's going to go. Seeing them react to Bond when he first comes in. He's all super fiery and everything. And
annoying.
And Blue is sort of like, the fuck are you? But yeah, then we're going to go ahead and talk about... we'll talk about the individual Mechs first.
Yeah.
Because they actually do show up at the very beginning.
And they actually do stuff.
Yeah.
I know, shocker.
I love Jasmine. Speaking of which, Jasmine, though. But... I love her. She's like, we're going to go ahead and do this with the dawn. And then she runs into the alien's foot. It's hilarious. I loved her, like, almost immediately. It took a little bit for me to really like everybody else because this is my second time watching this show. This show is actually better the second time around.
I think so.
Yeah. It's just like, I love this show more
because the second time around, I noticed a couple things that bugged me a little bit more.
I still loved it.
I still like the show, but...
Yeah, no, that's fair. For me, it was about on par.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, it was just as good the first time, but I kind of know what you're saying. There's some things that you notice the second time around that you don't notice the first time.
Nothing game-breaking, mind you.
Oh, no.
Nothing to where it's like, this is stupid.
It's much more nitpicky.
But, yeah, it is to the point where it's like, couldn't you just, whatever.
Speaking of which, this is something that really bothered me, and this is something we're, of course, going to end up talking about more in comparison as well. But it makes more sense in this show. Because the crimes are just so much bigger and a much more, like, galactic scale with the people that they're dealing with.
True.
They almost always go for the kill. There's, like, no capture system or anything. It's just like, you're dead now. Have fun with that. But, speaking of being dead now, episode 2... Robo Impact, where we finally end up getting to see Dekaranger Robo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, that was challenging.
No, he was just really holding something in just now.
Anyway, the individual mechs, I think, are really useful.
Yeah.
They all have their purpose, because Yellow's
the lights.
Has the lights.
And the handle for the sword.
And, yeah, which becomes the handle, but I'm talking about their individual uses. Green has the gun stored, which can be used for containment, attacking, all of that. Blue has the flying mech. Red has he's got the main body mech, so he's got the sirens and everything.
Yeah.
He's always up front. And Pink has the badge.
Yeah, she's basically just like the traffic controller.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Which I'll give her that. Now,
I do like Blues. I'll just say this about Blues, because they use his the most often. And because his has a lot of versatility.
They also get the handcuffs from his Zord.
Yeah, so they end up using his quite a bit outside.
Now when they combine into it's
Dekaranger Robo.
Dekaranger Robo, one of my favorite Zords. Period.
It's so good,
and
it's a good one.
It is a great one where the CGI
benefits.
It's one of the most mobile.
Yeah,
because it's jumping around, it's shooting people,
hiding behind buildings. I love that
actual cop.
The first time you end up seeing it does that.
And it's jumping, doing the jump
and
shot.
That's like, when you ask people about Super Sentai or Dekaranger or SPD, it's like that's something like really just in Power Rangers in general that people recognize as that robot jumping and shooting.
Mm-hmm.
That and the Time Force one jumping and ripping off the Matrix.
But it's just like seeing this one, jump and hide behind buildings and everything, and it's just good to see it act like a cop. Mm-hmm. And I love the lights on its head.
More like a cop, less like a giant robot.
Yeah.
Which is really...
That's something we're going to get more into with Dekaranger.
I also love that the badge is still being used on the Zord.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
We did talk about
It's so weird to see a mech where every individual vehicle has a function.
Yeah.
We come across this so rarely.
Unlike Gokaiger, where...
Gokaiger, you see their individual vehicles, I think, a grand total of once, and it's in the
5 times, the first 5 episodes. And then you never see them.
I only remember the first one.
Yep.
Oh, wait, and the Gowander episode. 6. but yeah,
this show set the bar high.
When it ends up coming to his Mechs.
Period, honestly.
And I love the lights. The lights on it when they just go off and you start hearing the sirens and you're just like, oh my god, it's so good.
That means you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Or get arrested, but most likely die.
We didn't talk about the badges, but we did talk about them in our top 10 of the morphers. These morphers are still great. Mm-hmm. They're still good. They're still just as useful, of course.
The SP license.
The aesthetic is perfect. Yeah. The functionality is perfect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Having the ability to do the judgment time with the court in a parallel, like in a universe of hockey.
Well, which that is not mentioned
so
in the
far
show.
Away. But it's just like...
It's still a useful thing to have.
Yeah, it's still
even if you don't know that, the fact that it can still...
And I know I'm jumping
judge
ahead.
Them
it's also good that we know that it's not automatically going to say guilty.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are episodes in the show where no, you're wrong. They're innocent. So it's good to know that it's not.
They're doing something bad, but they're not evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let's go ahead and just skip a little bit ahead. There are a couple things we'll mention now, because there are certain character traits that end up being much bigger things, especially for 2 of them. For Jasmine, she's an Esper. Mm-hmm. ESP, she can touch things and see their past or go into memories and things like that. Which they use quite a bit, and I like that.
And the narrator makes sure you know
it every single time.
Every single time. It's like, by the way, did you know?
It's episode 37.
Can do, it's like, yes, we know.
It's episode 37, we know.
But for some reason, that sort of gave a charm to this show. I didn't mind it. I minded it more the first time. I didn't mind it as much the second time.
Because you knew it was happening.
Yeah, I think it's because it was expected. Also, Sen Chan, can do the handstand.
He does a handstand, and that's his thinking pose.
That's his thinking pose.
But didn't his IQ actually double or something when he does that?
His thoughts all rush to his head.
Yeah.
I remember the first time it happened, I was watching it, it's like, wait a minute, I have an idea, pull over. He just runs up to a tree, does a handstand, and I'm like, God, I'm sorry, what?
But it,
is it time kind of the essence here?
I like their quirks.
Nope.
Especially because, with them being detectives, this is something that really ends up helping in their job a lot. And I'll talk more about Jasmine's because that ends up being a sort of a major plot point, or at least a character point for her
later,
just in her backstory. Episode 5, we end up getting introduced to Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Our small, well, not really a small dog. The first time he comes in, he's sort of a jackass because he keeps peeing on
like most dogs.
Yeah, he pees on everybody with coolant because it's a robot dog. But he's useful.
He's leaked lubricants all over my foot.
One other thing I would like to point out that I think it's really cool that to kind of even push more forward that the Red is the leader. He gets a different weapon in his a different go-to weapon. Everybody has the baton blaster combo. He has the dual pistols that combine into a shotgun thing, which I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Now, like we said, we can skip around a lot more in this one because of the fact that it's not so much of a, we have to follow a certain plot in some cases. But there are some things where it's just we end up getting hints at bosses, Doggy Kruger's like backstory and things like that, and some other criminals that he has fought because he's an aged grizzled police detective.
One of the best mentors ever.
Yeah,
Doggy is so good.
Doggy Kruger is awesome.
And I'm wearing his number.
Even though he looks like carved styrofoam.
Yeah,
but still,
he looks like a theme park mascot.
He does.
Yeah,
but I'm wearing his number for this episode in particular. Number 13, episode 13, High Noon Dogfight. Where a swan is getting captured by a
an
criminal
old acquaintance of bosses.
Which
by
from
acquaintance we
2
mean
episodes ago.
bad guy.
Yeah, it's something from 2 episodes ago actually that they mentioned from something else that ended up happening. And then in this episode, Swan gets captured, and we end up getting to see him transform into Deka fucking Master. So,
with one of the coolest fight scenes ever.
Yeah,
one of the best suits ever.
That too.
I love this
Even
suit.
the giant number 100 on the chest?
This one, it's okay.
Yeah, it's like the entirety of the actual costume itself really works together. The blue.
Though I do love how afterwards they do bring up and ask, how does your snout fit in?
And then they get attacked immediately and it's never brought up again.
There's a perfectly reasonable explanation for that explosion.
But I love, episode 13 is great. Not just that fight, but the fight with the actual bad guy himself.
Oh, also, it's a great, that is an awesome sword. Can we just say that? That sword is awesome.
Yeah.
With the wolf mouth that opens and it just glows. That entire outfit is just badass.
And I love it because he thinks pretty far into the future, especially in this case, because, he has to get Swan out of that container before the bombs are going off.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, I will bring that up more in comparison. But the fact that there's a fuse on this is sort of really old school-ish. Because it's an actual, pack of dynamite.
Might as well have tied her up to train track.
Basically. He just tied her up into a truck. But I love how he just, he was fighting the monster. He was acting like he was losing. And then he was like, just take one more shot at me. I bet you I'll deflect it. And he's like, all right. So he just shoots him and Doggy deflects it into the fuse and just cuts the fuse off. I'm sitting here like, the fuck are you? Because that's great.
He's called Deka Master for a reason.
Yeah, Deka Master! He's just so cool.
I wrote my name in English because fuck you.
Yeah, basically. And, they end up...
This does bring something I want to talk about. He's not the Sixth Ranger.
Nope.
No.
Even though he is the Sixth Ranger we see.
He's an extra ranger.
Yeah, he's extra.
Which is interesting.
Because he doesn't really transform that often.
Yeah. But in episode...
But all the same, it's like he gets introduced this early, he transforms, it's like, oh, he's going to be the Sixth Ranger. Nope.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
And, this is one of those times where we're going to talk about the
Gotcha.
episode immediately after the fact. Because they're starting off with hey, he's Deka Master now, he can really start helping us out in the field.
Nope.
And he's just like, no, I'm, the commander of the team.
I can't just be going on the field.
Yeah, all the time. So he just when they start calling to him for help, he's just standing up there looking at them like, y'all can do better than this. And they do. Because you're not supposed to depend on me. You're the team, you're the field agents. You're supposed to be the ones that actually go out there and fight. I'll help you train and things like that, but still, you're the team. Go do fighting now.
Go do fighting now.
Can we make that a shirt? I understand his logic, but at the same time, if you are that powerful and are capable of doing more, I feel like you should, as a public servant / police officer.
I don't know.
I understand his logic. It's their job, not his job. But
because he only comes out in dire situations, which he should. He's really that last line of defense in some cases. And then, over the next couple episodes, they end up getting introduced to another mech. Because they've been in Deka Base this entire time. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Deka Base, I still don't know exactly because they used the toy for the actual model itself. Mm-hmm. But when they end up releasing the mechs out of there, the mechs look so big in comparison to Deka Base because they don't scale it enough. So it just looks like you see the cars and everything, the pat wings they were on coming out of there, and it's just like that.
Were the buildings doubling as offices?
Basically. Also, I love how the fact that when Deka Base transforms, the people had to get into safe zones.
Uh-huh.
And then because you watch the desks start sliding across the ground, you're like, well,
you think you'd nail those down?
Well, no, they do, but it's like the whole thing just shifts on its axis.
And some guy's like, oh, I should have left my coffee mug on top of my desk. Well,
basically. But Deka Base were about I like it when a base becomes
So
an actual
Matt,
mech.
Did you have this toy growing up?
No, I did not.
You didn't? Oh, wow.
No. When it comes to SPD, I only had the main mech and the Six Ranger mech for SPD.
Interesting.
Loved them both to death, I mind you.
Of course.
They were one of my favorites, but I
Deka-
did not get that one.
But Deka Base Robo.
Deka Base Robo's fucking huge.
It's huge, and I love it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You always love those giant mechs, even in
Yeah.
comparison to the other mechs.
Yeah. Because
I love the first time you use it, and it shows like this is how tall the monster is. This is how tall Deka Base is in comparison to giant monster, and you're just like, help.
And then you just get shot with a giant laser of solar energy and death. And
It used Hyper Beam.
It used Hyper Beam. It's super effective and green and good on the end.
I don't care if it's a fucking goddamn normal move. It's super effective against yo ass.
And it's friendly for the environment. Solar power, kids.
Yeah. But Deka Base
Nice to
Robo
see
is
we've
great.
come far in the future.
Well, what year did this take place? It was like 2020
I have
something?
no idea.
I know it's SPD took place in 2020s. And like 2025. So it's not that far.
No, but you gotta remember they also have the whole parallel universe thing with Q Ranger and the fact they don't switch time. But I don't know. It's really weird.
Timey-wimey.
Wibbly wobbly, timey,
Timey-wimey,
wimey stuff.
Yeah.
That's stuff.
But in episode 21, there's these 3 siblings that end up coming down, and they basically just end up walking through Dekarangers. Like, that's basically just their entire thing the first time they end up coming down. Because it's like there's 2 of them, the sister and the younger brother. The younger brother just ends up getting his ass beat because he's an idiot. And then the sister ends up coming down and just, like, tortures Jasmine for a good while, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then in episode 22, we end
This
up
got
getting
dark.
introduced. Trust me, there are some episodes
I
later.
know.
But we also didn't mention this. There's Agent Abretta, who is basically the benefactor for like all of crime, at least on Earth, and on some
And
other
he's a bat.
planets as well.
Or as I like to call him, Agent Abere.
You're not wrong.
Because that's what I kept seeing whenever they showed his name on screen.
But yeah, he's just like the benefactor. He doesn't go around and like actively do anything.
No,
against
he's the bat.
Dekarangers. He's
the boss.
He's the black market dealer.
Mhm.
That's basically him.
He's in it for the money, money, money.
That's literally what he's in for.
money.
But in episode 22, the third brother ends up coming in from the last episode, and we end up getting introduced to Deka Break.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about his suit. real
Our
quick.
actual Sixth Ranger.
Our actual Six Ranger, who said, screw your numbers, let's go Roman numerals.
Yep, they do go Roman numerals because he's part of Tokyo. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and talk about that. It's basically just like an elite squadron in Dekaranger.
Mm-hmm.
And I love his suit.
I
I
don't
love
mind
the
it.
white, and I love the Roman numeral on it.
I don't mind the Roman numeral. I like the helmet.
The helmet's great.
It's a
His
good
more-
suit.
I don't like his more for as much.
Why not?
Because I like the other ones better.
Race.
I know, but I just like the other ones better.
I mean, yeah.
I'm with him on this one.
But they basically just it ends up doing all of the same things as the
Yeah, I know. I just
one.
think the aesthetic is better on that one.
And it gives it
I don't-
extra
I don't-
powers.
And also that is just, that hurts my wrist just thinking about it.
I also
But,
don't like his bike. The unicycle thing.
oh yeah.
That was awful.
Eh.
That made me sad. But
It's
you know
like
what?
it's like from Men in Black 3.
Yeah.
Shit.
You know what didn't make me sad? His mech.
I love his mech.
His
Mech's
mech is
good.
great.
I love that his mech is a motorcycle that the other mech can ride, which is awesome. And then they combine.
Nope, we'll talk about that
I know.
a
I'm
little
just
bit later.
but that mech and it's
Still cool.
and you don't see a lot of mechs with sidearm blades.
Yeah, Dekabite does have those.
And doesn't he actually use the tire on his chest as a weapon every now and then?
Yes.
Which is great.
And he uses like the fists on them as well as like they bounce off attacks.
Booby bombs.
That's just, I think they're just hilarious.
Booby traps.
Now we can mention a couple of random episodes. Episode 26. This is the episode where they end up going into like the Fight Club thing, where Hoji ends up having to fight in the Fight Club, and Tekon was going
First
to
rule
do
of
it.
Dekarangers, you do not talk about Dekarangers.
Basically, and that actually has something to do with this episode too.
Of course it
But
does.
I love the Tekon was going to end up fighting against like whoever was the champion at the time.
Yep.
Then he couldn't, and then Hoji had to do it. And this is the first time we end up seeing him dressed as a woman, Tekon,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the funniest
And
thing.
begins a trend that Marcus adores.
It's hilarious.
Cross-dressing.
It's just so funny, and I don't know how else to explain it. It's just really, really funny. And it ends up tying into a much later episode where he does it as well, because one of the monsters, or one of the aliens that he ends up meeting in this episode, keeps trying to hit on him, ends up being one of the ones from later on, and it's just so fucking funny. Also, the alienizer in this one is Tylarian Durden. His name, it's Tyler Durden.
Yeah.
A character from the movie Fight Club, which is basically what that entire episode was about.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the thing. I love little nods like that. I think they're great. Episode, like, I wanted to talk about episode 27 just because of the fact that I think Dekaranger did something that a lot of things don't do. This is also the episode where they get some of the characterization for Jack and Z in SPD.
Mm-hmm.
Because it focuses on these two robbers. One of them went on and actually murdered somebody. And that ends up leading to him just going downhill. And the other one just stayed as a robber, but he ends up getting captured later on. But they only rob like money and like food and things to give to underprivileged people. So they're very Robin Hood-esque. But I love this episode 27, because it's a Jasmine-focused episode. And the alien that they end up getting out of prison to help them catch this guy, he acts like an idiot, but he's not. He can just block Jasmine's ESP abilities so she can't get anything from him. And I like that. I like how they sort of just put that in as like, this isn't going to work on everybody, so in some cases you'll end up having to go by traditional detective work, which they do in this episode. But there's this whole thing with the actual alien, because they gave him a lot of characterization for just the 30 minutes that he was in this episode.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, so he portrays himself as an idiot, but he's doing this to see if he can end up saving the person that, you know, he's sort of adapted into his life of crime that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up feeling so guilty that he was, one, going to end up having to kill his friend to stop him from just going on his murders, any more murders, rampages, and kill himself because he just felt so guilty. And Jasmine's just like, no, don't do that. You're a good person. I can see this. And I love this episode. Like, I was watching this about 2 days ago, well, sometime last week, and it was so interesting just to see how well, in a 30-minute episode for just a one-time off character, they gave him that much characterization, and like you actually knew a lot about this character. It's good to see things like that, because this show has a lot of characterization in the people itself, but for them to take the time off and just give it to a one-time character and make you really care for them, that says something about how the writing for this show was done.
Yep.
Dekaranger does very good at things like that.
Yeah, especially with the one episode, I believe it was early on, where everyone is convinced that this one guy did a crime, and Green is like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And works at everything he can to prove his innocence using detective work.
Yeah.
And then when they finally capture the guy and they use the judgment on him, the judgment goes, no, he's innocent, you're wrong. And Green's like, the biggest I told you so ever in Sentai.
Yeah.
So it's so good to see not the traditional formula of Sentai in a show like this.
It works so well. Speaking of works so well, let's go ahead and talk about this mirror saging. The episode 28 and 29.
Oh, God.
Where we end up finding out that Tetsu's parents were killed by a certain criminal, but there's a copycat going out there and sort of like trying to help him, going out and committing crimes, posing as past monsters and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Tetsu ends up having to go to the guy who killed his parents and, just in turn saved him. He's like, I don't know why I did it. I just did it to, shits and giggles. But episodes 28 and 29 are just so good for just Tetsu's character development. Seeing him, because this alienizer can get out of basically anything by going through a mirror.
He's Mirror Master from DC.
He's basically Mirror Master.
Mm-hmm.
So when he ends up going to actually meet him, the guard's like, you had to cover him.
Anything reflective.
Anything reflective, because once this guy gets out, he's out.
And they even go as far as to give him sunglasses so you can't go through your eyes.
Yeah.
Non-reflective ones, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
like
just
we're
black
talking
sunglasses.
like black sunglasses. Like,
that was a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plastic.
And then he ends up going in there. He ends up telling, the Mirror Master. I'm just going to keep going with that. He ends up just
Fair
telling...
enough.
It's Genio's his name. He's the guy who ends up murdering...
Japanese Mirror Master.
He's like, do you want to know what your mother said before she died? And it was just like, I'm sitting here like, are you fucking serious right now? And then he does, and Tess just lets out like one tear, and he escapes through that. And I'm sitting here just like,
That's all you need.
It's so good. It's so well done. And then he ends up escaping. And then, the next episode, I love the next episode, by the way, because, he ends up getting out, and then he ends up going after all of Tetsu's, like, Bon and the others.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up going and just, like, taking them into the mirror world and everything. He ends up taking Tetsu's neck into the mirror world. It's just, like, this whole thing, and then at the very end, he ends up breaking the mirror on his chest that was giving him his powers, Tekon does, and that ends up shattering and brings out everybody, taking away. I love it because of just how creepy the lead up was.
Yep.
Like, you see him going to take Sin and Umiko when they're like in the car, and you see him in the mirror, but he doesn't appear in the real world. Next thing you know, the car just goes on automatic and just drives and stops, and they're just not in the car anymore. And then he goes
very horror movie-esque.
Yeah, and then he goes after Hoji and Jasmine, and they see him in the reflection of the mirror and look behind him, he's not there, and then they're just gone when the elevator opens. It's just, I'm sitting here like, this episode does so well with just building up anticipation and tension. It's so good. Ah!
You didn't say it right. Antissa.
Patient.
Anyway.
There we go.
After
Halloween, everybody.
There are like a couple of filler episodes that aren't really filler because once again this story
very episodic.
Yes, this is very episodic, but there are a couple of just like really hilarious episodes. Like episode 30 with that very, very terrible alien girl from outer space who comes down in the mech after she stole something from Agent Abura, and apparently like she stole a diamond that as soon as you open the box, it like emits a transmitter to like this giant world-ending missile that's coming down towards Earth. And then she swallows it because she's a fucking idiot. And then one of the orange mains is coming out just like, I'm just going to take you into space and then just destroy it there. Or I could just leave you here, either way. Mm-hmm. And, somehow Bond ends up saving her. And it's so good just to see like little things like this. Because this episode 1 is hilarious because she's fucking awful. Every single time Bond is like the first couple times she sees Bond just gets kicked in the dick. And it's just him for a good while.
I can't believe every single one of them
kicked me in the dick. Now, episode 32 and 33.
Have they gone to SWAT mode yet? Or is that not?
That's next. And we actually did forget to talk about
almost there.
And we did forget to talk about the
combination mech.
The combination mech, which I think looks amazing.
Super Dekaranger Robo. It does look great. Although it sort of ends up downsizing pink and yellow.
Well, to be fair, they're tiny.
Yeah,
it's hard to do much with them.
But they were the arms originally. This one's just, they're small.
I mean, but the problem is compared to the rest of them, they're tiny.
Yeah.
And now they have a shoulder-mounted light and a shoulder-mounted badge. But I think this is a very well-designed combination.
I think the thing that
utilizes every part of the two mechs.
One, it's extremely fast, but I think the thing that ends up tying it together is the helmet.
Yeah.
Like, if the helmet wasn't as big as it was, and, sort of gives it like a sort of regal-ish look.
Streamlined.
Yeah, it just ends up making it look cool. I like the finisher where it just punches you to death and then uppercuts you.
That's always nice.
But I think it's really cool. And we haven't gotten their SWAT mode back yet. So.
Yes, and we're actually going to go ahead and talk about episode 32 and 33 here with Discipline March and SWAT mode on. Here's the thing I like about this power up a lot more. It's not something that they find.
No, it's something they
earn. Something that they're just given.
Mm-hmm.
Or, some code that they had to unlock.
They worked their ass off.
They had to work their ass off for this. I think that makes me sort of appreciate SWAT mode just that much more. And what also really makes you appreciate the Dekaranger one as well. Because it's something that they both have to earn in that case. And, seeing them have to go out, run miles and get up, super early and, go
in the desert.
In the fucking desert and through a forest and just going into a whole different bunch of biomes. It's really cool to really see them actively have to work for this and prove to a superior that they can actually earn their SWAT mode. Speaking of what, SWAT mode. Because the whole reason they ended up having to get this is there was Agent Burr gave these two guys some muscle gear.
Mm-hmm.
And that ends up having to play into this episode here was, SWAT mode on is just a good episode 1 because I love them basically having to storm the Deka Base. Mm-hmm. This is the first time that happens. And seeing them just shoot down the wall and just burst in SWAT mode is so badass. And then the song. I don't talk about insert songs that much. But Dekaranger SWAT mode is such a great song. Dekaranger SWAT mode. It's so good. I love every single time they use it. And SWAT mode just looks cool. The black and the numbers like actually popping out instead of being a part of the suit now.
And now it's just literally a ballistic vest.
Yeah. It's like, this is legitimately SWAT mode.
This is legitimate. This is the most legitimate, but yet most aesthetic team up mode, I think. And it was number 2 on our top 10, I believe. It's just...
No, it was number 1.
It was number 1?
Dekranger was number 2.
Oh, okay. But anyway, it's literally just a ballistic vest, a new blaster that that is a kind of a combination assault rifle shotgun, and a headset with lights on it. That's pretty much the entirety of it. But they made it look so.
And it gives them like extra stuff like thermal vision, night vision, X-ray vision to be able to see through a whole bunch of things. It's
really
so cool.
badass guns.
Yeah, it's just
I do love that blaster.
Really cool mode, and they did the debut very, very well with them scaling down walls and like doing like actual special
SWAT stuff.
Yeah, like actual special weapons and tactics.
I mean, who would have thought SWAT?
But it because usually they don't end up going that heavy into the theme of the actual power up, but they do in this case.
But this show, if it did anything, it definitely went heavy to the theme of everything involving the show.
Yeah. Okay. This is an episode that triggered me. Episode 34. The celeb game. This is also the debut of Deka Wing Robo, but we'll talk about that one at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one basically ends up working out like the most dangerous game, but they're just assholes. Because this kid ends up finding, this alien kid ends up finding a jewel on the side of the road. He goes to a medicine lady that Sinchan, because this is another Sin-focused episode. This a medicine lady that Sinchan helped earlier on, and that episode was hilarious. But this one, it's basically just this kid constantly being hunted down. Like Sinchan really, bonds with this kid because one, Sinchan grew up poor, and this kid is poor. And then the marble
he also kind of looks like Snarf from Thundercats.
Yeah, but not nearly as annoying. But then like the ball that he got ends up like glowing, and it basically just turns into a bracelet. And then the Mechs from the very beginning of the episode that went out and just like randomly attacked people, they're rich kids, and they think they can't be charged with anything because their dads are all like super lawyers or something, but unfortunately, Sinchan says, fuck that. Yeah. Does the judgment time on them anyway. The court finds them guilty, and he was just like, my dad will make it go away. And I'm sitting here like, you piss me off more than anybody else in this show. Congratulations. I hate people like this.
I'm right there with you.
The whole affluenza thing bothered basically everybody. With good reason, because that's fucking bullshit. And then we end up getting an episode like this, and just like, I'm so happy he got, like, there's that one moment where Sinchan just punches him in the face. And I'm just like, yes, this is what this episode needed. Because then we end up getting a flashback to the very beginning of the episode, because we finally get to see the thing that we didn't see, that they found the first person who got the whatever, and they blew him up. Because they just kill people for fun. That's the whole plot of this episode. Mm-hmm. And then they both get destroyed. The guy ends up having a flying mech that they can't reach with regular Dekaranger Robo or Super Dekaranger Robo. And that's when we get Deka Wing Robo. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Deka Wing Robo.
Not the greatest.
I don't mind it.
It's
just a little bit too... it's a little bit too much black.
It's not... I mean, yeah, I'll give you...
I thought I'd hear you say that.
It's not... The color scheme is not my biggest issue with it. My biggest issue with it is that it is the only mech that really doesn't have any individuality in its function. Yeah. It's literally just there to be a mech.
And a cannon.
And a cannon. Which is cool. But...
I don't mind this one.
Don't get me wrong, it's not bad.
But just what...
I like the colors.
It's my... I just think out of the... five we've... Out of all 5, I think it's 5th. Counting the combination mech.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still only 4.
Combination mech.
Deka Bike.
Deka Base, and
Dekaranger Robo.
Oh, really? And the combination mech.
Counting.
The combination mech, Deka Wing, Deka Bike, Deka Robo.
Deka Base isn't on there.
Deka Base. Okay. So that's 5. I can count. You can't.
Speaking of counting, episode 35.
Emergency 35, Dekaranger.
But
36, action. 38, perfect.
I hate you, bro. Episode 35, though. This ends up basically having to deal with, like, the person who trained Doggy Kruger. And I love this episode. As we said earlier on, this show doesn't have that lull moment that we end up getting with a lot of Sentai.
Yeah.
And that really works, like, that really shows off in this episode, which is a Jasmine focus episode. But, like, the original trainer of Dr. Kruger ends up coming back into town. But it starts off with somebody actually getting killed. It's apparently another criminal. And I like this episode, one, because this guy is, you know, a much older, much more grizzled detective than Dr. Kruger. But his daughter...
Is that even possible?
Yeah, apparently so. But his daughter
even
was
in dog
killed.
years?
Yeah. His daughter was killed.
Mm.
And by one of the... Because there are three brothers, and he ends up shooting one at the very beginning. But they don't know about it until much later on in the show, when, you know, they finally are figuring out that it was his daughter. That's the reason why these other two guys are being hunted. So he actually ends up coming in. He kills one of the other ones before the other one shoots the gun out of his hand. And it's just weird to see, but you also sort of get it. Because this has happened before in other cop shows where, like, an older cop, like, somebody in his family or somebody important to him has been killed. And you see him sort of end up going on
The
his
plot of Taken.
Yeah. But, you know,
Killed.
better
We'll call
than
it
Tekken 2.
Or Taken 3.
Jumping over a fence for 15 minutes. But it's good to see, you know, having that whole vendetta thing actually, you know, coming in, because some cops do go on these. Like, we're not going to say all cops, of course, but having something like your daughter being taken from you at such a young age, aka the plot of The Foreigner. But then,
how many movies can we reference?
All of them.
Oh.
But I honestly really, really like this episode, because you end up feeling sorry for this guy at the end of it. Like, you understand this is his daughter who was taken from him 13 years before the show ends up starting.
Mm-hmm.
And you understand exactly where he's coming from. And I think that's what ends up making this episode just ends up standing out that much more to me. Because, you know, there are just some episodes where you're just like, okay, I remember this, but why? And I honestly remember that episode. And then episode 36, Mother Universe. So we end up getting introduced to Deka Swan.
For the one time.
Yeah. Although, no, because we see her one more time in suit near the end of the season. But I like this episode, one, because it ends up giving sort of a backstory to a character who we haven't gotten a lot on with Swan. Mm-hmm. And she also is getting her own suit. Let's talk about her suit.
I like it.
I like it. I like the orange and the white, and it's cool just to see it like that. You know, the ears make a lot more sense this way around because they're swan feathers. Mm.
But we didn't pay attention to that on SPD. Moving on.
But
neither did SPD.
Nope.
But it's good to see.
I didn't notice it.
It's good to see another character, you know, get another suit.
Have we skipped the Battleizer at this point? Do we just, or have they not gotten it yet?
They don't get that.
Yeah, they do.
The Battleizer?
They didn't call it? Yeah, I thought this was the only...
Magi Ranger Team Up.
Oh, I thought this was the only...
Nope.
Okay, I thought it was in show.
Nope. Why would it happen in show and SPD hasn't started yet?
Valid point. I thought Dekaranger did it first. I thought it was the only Sentai to have a battle line. I can't remember.
They got it later.
I skipped around in Dekaranger because I've had no time to watch stuff.
Episode 40. Because we can skip ahead. Oh, actually, we'll talk about episode 39 first. This episode is also really creepy because it operates like Freddy Krueger. It's like straight up Nightmare on Elm Street. It starts off where this monster could go into dreams and just like start attacking people.
And I'm done. I'll have fun with the rest of the review.
Nope. And she would just start attacking people.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
But it's
3, action 4, perfect.
Fuck you both. But episode 39, it's really good to see something like this because it operates with, you know, Umiko and Jasmine. Umiko ends up being the one who basically ends up being sacrificed to stop the criminal because she ends up, you know, being beaten by the criminal at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And then Jasmine was like, okay, I can sort of read her memories from her herself. And then we get into this whole thing where they go out, fight the monster, and there's this one awesome scene where Jasmine proves how much of a badass she is. Because, as we said, the SP license ended up having a lot of functions. Mm-hmm. And one of them is called Mirage Dimension. So, She ends up going in. They act like they got hit by the monster to go into a dream state. And there's this whole scene where Jasmine's like about to be run over by a dream bus, which will actually kill her in real life. And Jasmine's like, I'm just kidding. Punches the fuck out of the bus to stop it.
The dream bus.
Yeah. It's cool to see them.
Punches it in the dream face.
To like see them just be one up on the actual enemy themselves. And I love, once again, anything that focuses on Jasmine in this show is always going to be good. Jacob can agree. And it's just cool to see her just like, I'm that much of a badass that I was already anticipating what you were going to do. They basically end up doing what they did in Get Backers whenever Bond ends up doing the eye thing.
Yeah, the Jagon.
Yeah.
Whenever he uses that.
It's just like, it's exactly
like that. That's a good comparison,
yeah. It's just cool. I love seeing things like that. Just seeing, them really work as a team to do something like this. Episode 40, we end up getting introduced to our last show suit with Deka Bright.
Yep.
Lisa Teal. I don't mind it. It's sort of cool. I like the blue on it. It's a lot of gray in this case. It sort of reminds me a little bit of Blade suit, but not nearly as good for me.
Yeah.
I don't really like the helmet as much either.
Me neither.
It's fine.
The helmet's okay. The rest of it, meh.
Also, it's sort of like she's either supposed to be number 7 with the V in the middle,
the V and then the 2,
or an L. It's supposed to be either one of those two.
I don't like the gray, honestly.
Yeah, I think the gray ends up like, especially in this case, there's just a little bit too much of it.
Yeah.
And
which is why I'm glad in SPD she appeared for all of 7 minutes.
Literally at the very end of the show. Yeah. There are a couple other episodes. Episode 41. Apparently, Senchan fell into a well when he was. Yeah, that's literally it. When he was younger and
like then Thomas Wayne came and got him out.
And Lassie,
No, but this episode is sort of cool because of Japanese just the way that they end up having to work with Senchan. Him being stuck in there the entire time and then having to figure out exactly where he is. And, Bond having to calm him down. He was acting, just like a scared little kid. It's like, no, you're a policeman now. Do your job. And you can help figure out exactly where I'm supposed to be. And, where you're supposed to be so we can come get you. As the walls are closing in. I love that, that tension the entire time because the walls start closing at the very beginning of the episode. And they don't stop until almost the very end. And it's so good. And
the level of nope.
I know.
That I felt. I really, really, really don't like tight spaces. So just no.
It was so good. And so creepy. But it's just cool seeing them, having to really think outside the box. And in this case, to really end up having something like this happen.
Which, to be fair, they do throughout the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see them, actually really do something like that. We'll talk about episode 42 and 43 briefly because these are the 2 episodes where, it starts off where they end up, like a monster ends up attacking the city. And they end up going out to like this quarry because Super Sentai, that's what you do. And they end up finding these bones sitting beside an egg. And I love it because they do end up doing like some actual real forensic science in this one where they have to do facial reconstruction off of the bones that were laying beside this egg. They end up having
which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool just to like see Swan put on clay and everything and put everything back together. They end up having to go to this observatory where there's this scientist that they end up having to speak to, and then they end up finding out after Swan ends up reconstructing the face that it's the actual scientist. Somebody's just portraying as him, and
dun, dun, dun.
The monster that they ended up fighting ended up was calling down a meteorite. This is one of the last times that we also ended up getting to see Super Dekaranger.
He had black materia.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, he's calling down a meteorite, and they end up beating it with Super Dekaranger Robo. We didn't talk about this, and this is something that we definitely should. I love whenever, sometimes when they end up defeating the monster, they just say, "Got you!" I think that's so cool. That's one of those things, just like that, like a Cocker Ranger when they say, "Bye-bye!"
What about Super Mega Win?
No. But in episode 43, this is also the episode where, another monster is...
Thanks for reminding me of that.
...was born out of another egg. And this is the episode where the meteorite ends up coming in, and Bond and Hoji both go up there to shoot the meteorite, point blank, because that was really the only way to beat it. And then they all think that Bond ends up sacrificing himself after he ends up sending Hoji back, after he overrides his controls.
And on top of that meteorite was Zabushar.
Mechs.
No, that would be a crossover.
That would be a crossover wanting to have it. But it's cool to see something like this, you know, the whole self-sacrifice thing. I mean, yeah, it doesn't end up amounting to anything at the end of the day.
So
it's cool up to that point.
It's called a fuck you.
But it's cool to see something like that.
Cop-out.
And then you end up seeing the entire team go, got you, at the very end of it, when they finally end up destroying the giant monster with the cannon and both with both Dekaranger and Deka Bike Robo.
They shoot him with
Deka
everything
Base.
at once.
Basically, it's just cool to see something like that.
Fire everything!
It's a really, really good episode. Now, episode 44, this is another backstory episode for Doggy, but this is also when Agent Umbrella is just like, I'm really tired of you motherfuckers, and I really want you all to go away. So he ends up bringing in a past swordsman, because when Doggy Kruger was training as a swordsman, damn it! When he was training as a swordsman, he was basically training at a dojo. And the master's son was not really ready for that. And Doggy ends up basically having to leave to actually become a part of Dekaranger. He ends up feeling sort of guilty because he promised the master that he would mentor his son, but then he got called away. The master died and he wasn't able to go back. And I sort of like that. It gives us a little bit more of a backstory for why he more or less acts this way, at least throughout this episode. Because the swordsman ends up coming down, he starts taking like the badges off of the Dekarangers and they start putting them like on the black market, so the villains or like the evil monsters and everything would like start to come out and like we can actually beat the earth forest and everything. It's a great two-parter just to see something like that. Well, I guess great. I think it's only one part. Is it only one part? Yes, it is only one part.
It's a great two-parter. They did it in one part.
But it's good because there's another sword just like Deka Masters. This is the other sword they had, and it's good to see more sword fighting in the show. Not the show is guns and or sticks. Episode 45 is sort of a follow-up to the last time that Tekkon cross-dressed. Because there ends up being this whole thing where the guy who Tekkon would just sort of like constantly brush off in that episode ends up coming back after he's finally evolved and everything. He like is in love with Tekkon. It's just really, really funny because every single time Tekkon sort of fights back, because this monster's all about love, and every single time that you try to deflect it off, he just comes back stronger than ever. So that's the entire episode. He dresses up as Swan for a good portion. It's hilarious. Every single time that he just dresses up, it's just that much funnier. We will save episode 26 because this episode ends up tying into the 10 years after.
46?
Yes, I can't count today. And or read.
Can we ever?
Or talk.
But this episode ends up tying in explicitly to the 10 years after Girls in Trouble and the crossover with Gavan and the Dekranger. Episode 47. I mentioned this one explicitly for two reasons. One, we end up getting to see Hoji and Jasmine like sort of go like they're the cool ones, and they sort of end up breaking that because the alienizers at the end of having to fight injured the previous Deka Red, like before they actually became Dekarangers. He was the candidate to become Deka Red, and this is also the time that we end up getting to see that other Deka Red come back, and he is now the captain of Fire Squad, and he wants Bond to join after Bond ended up having to find out exactly who he was and where to find him by going in and basically molesting the chief of all of Dekaranger.
All right then.
That's one way to do it.
And he was like, I'm really interested in this guy. Can he be on my team? And that ends up setting up, the very last part of the show, at least for Bond's characterization, for him to get onto Fire Squad. It's, the last couple episodes are all great. Seeing Agent Abrera at the end of this episode ends up breaking into Deka Base, and then them losing all their abilities to, like, transform and everything. And, Doggy, they think that he died from just fighting everybody that ended up coming in. The ending of this show is so good. Just seeing
one of the best finales I have ever seen in Super Sentai.
Seeing them storm the base, just, having to, like, go literally special weapons and tactics without their gear or anything. Having them to just
and they can't transform.
Nope. Oh, seeing them storm that base and just come in and just go out and, like, actually start fighting the mooks and everything like that. It's just, it was so good to see them doing a whole bunch of altitude fighting, because that was the entire last part of this show. Hoji finally called Bond his partner. Because that's the entire thing from the very beginning of the show. Don't call me partner. I will to you not. But it's just, it was so good to really see them all come together and just at the end of the show, stronger than ever.
Mm-hmm.
And kick Asian Abrera out of the Deka Base, where Bond just goes, like, kicks him, and they just go flying down to the ground. And then the entire team comes out, the theme song plays, and it's hype as fuck. And it's just them beating the shit out of everybody. I love the ending of Dekaranger. Seeing Asian Abrera blow up was just so satisfying. And in a different way from someone that you've really seen take a much more active role in the rest of the show, like for some of the other ones that we watched. Seeing someone who's just been a benefactor to like really put a dent into crime, because they know it's not going to stop. But having something like this, where it's much more existential, ends up working a lot more in this case. And, you know, at the end of the one, Tekken ends up being formally assigned to the Earth base. He ends up taking over Bond's spot after Bond ends up going on the Fire Squad. And this show is great. I fucking love this show.
This show is pretty goddamn great.
It's so good.
Pretty good.
Let's all take a moment to reflect and just think about it. Because it's weird seeing something like this. We're so used to something so much more plot heavy than we even having to wait for basically almost the entire...
Or with no plot whatsoever.
Yeah. Or it's just, you know, having to
It's
wait
the antithesis of Tokyo Inspector.
Yes! Fuck you, Tokyo Inspector. Fucking dumbass show. Damn. Yeah, this show is great. Let's go ahead and get into these characters. Bye, mine.
Started off annoying as fuck, got better.
Yeah. Once he calmed the hell down.
I still found him kind of annoying throughout.
But not as much as the beginning.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Shishi Ranger and Q Ranger. He started off Yosha-lucking 7 times an episode, now it's like once.
Got a lot better. It's just like once he calmed down, like, yeah, he's really fiery and things like that.
He took a chill pill.
He really did, because you did see him in Gokaiger.
Mm-hmm.
You did.
That's basically him now. He's a lot calmer. And I think it's just because, you know, he's grown up.
Mm-hmm.
And his voice is deepened. Because of what he was like, always up there in that register.
Deepened. Anyway.
He was sort of annoying. But seeing him, you know, really having to grow, and he especially really bond with Hoji, it really ended up making him that much more of a better character. And I really enjoyed him a lot more. Yeah, he's still a loud red, but
but post-show,
yeah,
you can see he matured
a lot. Especially because, I mean, he's still the captain of the Fire Squad. That's the other guy. But Almo's still great.
Join the military or military-like force will do that to you.
Yeah. He's still a good character, though. I enjoy him.
Next.
He's just fun. Hoji.
He's good.
Hoji's a great character. He was very, very serious.
The straight man.
He was literally the straight man in terms of dealing with Bond.
In SPD, he was not the straight man, but still the straight man. You take that as you will. Moving on. You're a little proud of me, aren't you? You got it. Thank you.
Hoji's still great, though.
Yeah.
I love, you know, having him deal with, especially with his sister later on, and him willing to sacrifice himself. That Bond was like, no, your sister's about to get married and you still have a family to go to. I mean, you should go ahead and go back to them. And just seeing him really grow as a character, so he doesn't end up becoming so... What's the word I'm looking for? Just like so tight.
Yeah, but to stick up the butt.
He also... I hate you. He also speaks a lot in English. Like a lot of random English phrases, like perfect, super cool, unbelievable.
Oh my god!
Yes, that is the last one. Thank you, JoJo. But he's a pretty good character. It's fun to see him a lot more in this show. Like, I didn't really mind him so much the first time around, but I think I liked him a little bit more the second.
Yeah. Next.
Sin-chan.
He was alright.
He was the thinker.
I liked him.
He was kind of the innocent one of the group.
Or he was sort of the calm one compared to everybody else, like him and Jasmine.
Yeah.
And sometimes Hoji. But he doesn't have those, like, when you piss him off, you piss him off. And he's just like, I'm gonna fucking wreck and kill you. That's basically him. Like the whole episode with the Affluenza guys. That's what happened. You pissed him off, so now he's gonna kill you. After, the judge gives him permission to do so.
Otherwise, it'd be murder.
Yeah.
Without that, it's justice.
Let's talk about the best character in the show.
Jasmine.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Ayumi Kinoshita. Fucking Christ. I love this girl. She's great.
Yes.
Yeah, she is just like a great character.
She gave no shits.
She really didn't in some cases. She is the one who always...
I was first introduced to her in Gokaiger, where Captain Marvelous walks in the police station and she immediately snaps handcuffs on him. Great.
These are things that she does. She's just a really, really good character.
He's just there going, God damn it.
I love her
Oh, not again.
I love her use of her ESP in the show.
Oh, yeah.
Because, that ends up doing a lot for the
By the
actual...
way, did you know that she has ESP? If she touches things, it shows them the memories.
In case you didn't.
There are some occasions, though, where I feel like she could have used it, but she just doesn't.
Yeah.
I guess the narrator could only get paid but so much.
But she's still really good in her show.
Why don't you use your powers? We didn't pay the narrator.
Mm.
God damn it.
She's just great, though. She was like one of those standouts from this show that I just enjoyed so much. I love how she always ended up giving the monsters like names.
Mm-hmm.
Like flying, Chan number 2. It's like, the name's too long. I don't have anything else right now.
Kun.
Yeah. She's great. She's so calm and collected in terms of like comparing her with the Yumiko, which you really should do in this show. But she's just fun. Yumiko. I like her. She's alright.
Out of the main five, she's my least favorite.
I don't blame you.
But that's just by comparison. She's not terrible.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, she slightly gets worse as the years go by.
I don't think so.
I did not.
I thought she was fine.
I didn't really like her. I believe it was the Magi Ranger team up.
Oh yeah.
I did not like
with her and Sunshine were going on their date.
And and so that she turned into that character who just complained about missing their date and stuff.
Speaking of missing their date,
so it hurt.
There was that one episode earlier which I skipped over.
Sounds like Akiko.
Yeah,
but not nearly as bad.
Not nearly as bad as Akiko, but kind of like Akiko.
But I end up saying this now because I did mention an episode earlier which I skipped over on purpose because it leads into the romance for her and Sin for everything to now.
Mm.
But it's that episode where an alienizer was basically just using her because he's doing like this whole pure heart thing, and it's like the more pure hearts I get, the longer I live.
Mm.
And he ends up basically just forcing her to like go on dates with him. Well, not really forcing her, but he tricks her into going on dates with him. And there's this whole thing where Sin ends up like just exposing the guy, and she's there. And I love this scene where he like Senjin is about to transform and like actually beat the guy, and she comes like just from out the column that she was standing behind and transforms and just beats the guy in his stead.
Because she's upset.
Yeah, it's just like I don't
blame
her at all. He fucking deserved to get shot in the fucking face as he did. But it was just really good to see her, have that moment of just like, I'm so tired. And that's when I really started to like her a lot more. Even though that didn't happen until much more towards the end of the show, I sort of ended up appreciating her a lot more.
Yeah.
Tekon. I like it when he first came in. He was such like, your sense of just like justice will always prevail is such a,
it's such a naive thing to
think about. And at the end of the day, it's just like, oh wait, this actually works. Emotions and shit. Because the whole thing with episode 40, like he was about to be sent back with Deka Bright, who is his commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
And she's like, emotions don't help anything. You have to be a little bit more, you had to be a lot more emotionless. And it seems like you need to be retrained, so you're coming back with me. And at the end of the day, she ends up realizing that emotions are actual things that can help. And she does end up taking it back. But
so robots don't take our jobs.
Yeah. But I really liked his character. I mean, yeah, he came in a little bit later. He came in episode 22. But, he still ended up having enough to really end up focusing on him. Along with the rest of the team. Because this is a very team-based show. Like, the characterization is going much more to the team itself than just an individual person, although we do get those as well. But him, that was the AC. Him as a character is just fun. I enjoyed Tekon. Mm-hmm. He was hilarious.
He was alright.
Dolgi. Deka Master.
I love him.
He's one of the best mentors.
He's great.
He's like...
Have we done a top 10 mentors in Sentai?
We have not.
Though.
We should absolutely do that.
We should.
And it's, it's great to just see him as,
It's great to see him as Deka Master. It's great to see him as the mentor. It's great to see him as the chief. It's just not great to look at him.
I don't mind it.
I didn't have a problem with that.
When I watched SPD first and then see that, it took a while.
But I just like seeing it, just like, okay, you're the team. One, don't always depend on me to come and save you because I am the chief. There are other people I had to worry about as well. And then you end up having moments just like him fighting off the 100 androids at the beginning when he first was coming out as Deka Master, and then seeing him, having the whole thing with Swan and his whole past and everything like that, and having to deal with his mentor and the kid he was supposed to look after but didn't. It's good to see that sort of characterization because you don't always get that for the mentors.
Yeah.
I think the last time we sort of got this was actually Master Kaku.
Yeah.
But he's great. Also, we didn't talk about the Mega Ranger team up because we haven't watched Mega Ranger yet. But he ends up having a fight with Wolzord, which is badass.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yes! It doesn't last long enough, though. But it's great. Should we talk about Swan? Swan's great.
She's good.
She's good.
I like
She's
her.
a tech person.
She's, I'm just going to be like the mother of the team to versus Doggy's father.
Doggy.
Yeah, Doggy. But I like the two of them.
She was cute.
And I like their sort of like their romance that they had going on.
Yeah.
It felt natural. And it didn't take a lot of screen time. It just had, their things in the background and stuff like that. But I like Swan as a character. She really fit that mother role really well. And I think they really helped her out. Dekaranger is an amazing show.
It is a great show.
It's just like, if you haven't watched it, please go watch it.
Please.
Definitely, it's absolutely recommended.
Especially if
by
you
all
like
three of us.
SPD. If you liked Power Rangers SPD as a kid, watch Dekaranger. It is great.
It's fun. The actual crimes when they go into like the actual crime part of it is so good, especially the depth that they get into some of them are just all so good. And the characters are great. The story is great. It's good. It's good all around. It's one of those shows that I always end up recommending.
Oh,
especially because you end up having so much to come after. Speaking of which, join us next week for a comparison. The week after that for Dekaranger movie, Operator Team Up, and Tinker's After, and then Girls in Trouble and Space Ship Gavan movie. Bye, everybody.
Bye.